G'day folks, David here from the Xylem Zone. Just want to talk to you today and investigate a question a lot of people have been asking, and that is buying your own home going to give you security? So if you're in the situation where you're currently renting and you're thinking, do I go and buy my own home, and you've been saving for your deposit, or you might be thinking you've seen other people that have bought their own home already and you're going, is that actually the right decision? Should I keep renting and maybe invest? Or if you've got your own home and you've got a little bit of equity in there, interest rates are low and you're going okay, you're thinking what to do now, or you may be in a situation where you've got a very high debt and it's really putting you under the pump and you're sitting down looking at the next 20 years and going far out, how am I going to be able to manage this? So there's a few different scenarios. So we're going to investigate those different scenarios as we go through this video quickly and give you some ideas so you can make a good decision when you jump out there. So let's go and look at the first one. Our own home, it's all about emotions. It's all about that situation of having your family connected. You're growing up in a home, you've got the roof over your head, you've got your siblings around you, and you've got that whole thing of connection, food and shelter, and fond memories hopefully for everyone as well. Also that level of security that we know we can go out there and put a nail in the wall and hang the painting up. We can put a swimming pool in, we can have some veggie patch or some chickens. We can do what we want to the house without having this insecurity we get if we're maybe renting and thinking someone could move us on very fast. So that's the emotional side. Now, in my experience, the reality is I sat there and watched my parents for 30 years pay off a mortgage, and I didn't realize as a young bloke they spent most of the mortgage for the first 10 to 15 years is just about interest. So you hardly even pay the mortgage down. So I grew up thinking the debt was very, very bad, and I didn't actually want to even have my own home because I didn't want that pressure, because I worked all the time. We never saw them under constant stress with money. And the other thing we need to look at is also cash flow. When you own your own home, you generally have the banks get you to pay principal and interest repayments, which means that your repayments are generally a lot higher, so there's more money going out of your pocket. So it might have been if you're on interest only, which is what we use for investment, you may have $2,000 repayments, but with principal interest it might be $3,000, so it puts more strain on cash flow. So we need to consider that as well. Now, to me, the reality is if you're going to own your own home, the only time you truly get security is when the home is paid off. And so what's that going to take? Well, most people, by the time they worked in a job, paid their taxes, paid hard costs, there's not much left over. So it's very hard to have additional cash to sit in and put into the house. So this is a bit of a struggle. So then you go, right, well, what do? We've either got to spend less money, we've got to make more money, or there's got to be some better solutions. So again, in my idea of the world, I sat down and looked at my own home, the concept of my own home, and thought I actually don't want that, because a home represents to me a place where I'm with my loved ones. It's a place I love living. It gives me the flexibility and choices they have. So I rented for the first 20 years of my life, but I realized renting also wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go. So I saved my money to then go and learn how to invest. Now, it doesn't matter in this current world right now, if I was in your shoes looking for your own home and I had maybe just a smaller deposit, I would actually go out there and buy my own home. Because at the moment we've got interest rates potentially less than 3%. And the reality is it's actually not bad on cash flow right now. And so a lot of the clients I'm working with have gone out there and bought their own home and lived in that for 12 months. But they've made sure they've bought the house strategically in a good area, in a good location, and then they've been able to move out and actually turn that into an investment property. Now the reality is they can either go and buy their own home again and do it at a lesser price, or they can go and rent again, or they can go and continue to invest. There's a few different patterns there we don't have time for today. But bottom line is, if you want to pay your house off faster, it's almost impossible to do that just with a job, because there's not enough money left over, as we've talked about. So you need to have other things coming in. What you can do is go and put something off to the side of your home called an offset account, and your mortgage will be over here, and then your offset account's over here. So what you do is when you get your wages, you stick your wages in here and this offsets the mortgage. You can also put in additional savings in here. You can go and reduce costs and negotiate utilities, or the people that go out and choose to invest will go out and buy other properties and basically run their rents into here. And some of these people can actually pay their home off much, much faster in maybe half the time, 8 to 15 years instead of 25 to 30 years. Now that's going to be a whole nother video, but today is really just about the decision you're going to make straight up, should you buy your own home or not. So as you're probably working out, there's lots of different scenarios because cycles are always changing, markets are always changing. To me, bad debt, something that doesn't give you any deductions, takes money out of your pocket, it hurts your cash flow, and then makes it harder. When you've got a big debt hanging over your head, if anything goes wrong and you can't, in your life, you lose your job, there's sickness, there's ill health, whatever it is, the bank can take you home. But the reality is, if I have an investment property, the reality is someone else is paying for that. And often if I go and rent, I can rent for a lot less than what the market is if I own that own property. But again, we're looking at today. If you're starting out, if I was in your shoes, I'd be going out there and getting my own home, but getting one that I know I could turn into an investment, getting into the game, and then later on moving that to move forward, so you can have choices not to work for the rest of your life, and and create an option where maybe you can retire earlier and not be reliant on the pension. Anyway, it's David from the Xylem Zone. We're purely educators. We don't sell property, but as you can probably tell, we take a holistic approach where we look at all the different aspects of life. Property for us is not about a strategy to just make money. It's about how do we use property to create the life you want. A very, very different approach, and we need to look at all the different aspects. Anyway, I hope that's been useful today. I'm going to give you a few more tips, so keep an eye out and look forward to seeing you soon.